Architecture school demands more from your computer than most majors. 3D modeling, rendering, multitasking, and staying portable. How do you choose the right one without wasting money or power? Let's break it down. Hello everyone, welcome to this video. You know, not all laptops are created equal, especially in architecture. If you want your machine to keep up with Rhino, Revit, and then rendering softwares and the deadlines, you need more than just a good processor. Here, what to look for. Before we go ahead and decode this topic, I would like to mention that this is not a sponsored video and we are not affiliated to any of these brands that you see during the video or we talk about. You're just using it for the educational purposes. Second is I'm not going to talk about desktops, and then if you have any sort of question about the desktops, you can ask those questions, but because of the issue of the mobility of the desktops, we do not recommend desktop as the first computer that you would like to purchase for the educational purposes. And the third one is this video focuses only on Windows laptop. The laptops with the other operating systems, including Mac, is not recommended because of limitation of the software compatibility. And that's why we're not going to talk about those laptops, although that they have their own advantages. And the fourth and the last one, as the points in here, is the tablet computers. So you have heard about the tablet computers, I'm sure, and then you've seen those around like Microsoft Surface and then Yoga and then iPad. They are really nice, good looking, lightweight, battery usage is amazing. However, because of the lack of compatibility with the different softwares that we use for architecture purposes, and then also limitation of the processing power of these beautiful machines, we do not really recommend any of these tablets at all. However, it would be a really good addition to your devices because you can start using the pens and start sketching, which are really nice and then would be a good addition. If you have any question, I would be happy to answer. Write your question down underneath this post. As a side note, also pay attention to some of the e-ink tablets. Those are not computer at all. They're not running any software. They have their own softwares, and then you can do some really nice sketch with these tablets. Those are really amazing. But again, it's not a replacement for a laptop at all. If you're interested, you can watch the other video that I recorded about this specific tablet and then see what are the capability of this tablet if you would like to purchase it for the sketching purposes. All right, how to find the good laptop. So searching and then looking up for powerful laptop or fastest laptop probably is not going to be the best solution. Instead, you might have heard about how powerful the gaming laptops are. In general, this comment is true, but this is not that easy. So now the question is, among all these available laptops in the market, which one you should pick? And then what are the features and then the specs and the components that you should pay attention to pick the right laptop with the good performance and compatible with all the softwares that we use in architecture and design? And price-wise, it's not going to be very expensive, and it's going to be an optimized option, and also make sure that it's going to last a little bit longer, meaning that after your graduation is still for a few years, you can use it. Let's jump into the few components that you have to pay attention to those. Let's just start with the easiest part, which is the storage. First of all, you're going to look into the size of the storage. And the size of the storage these days, you see it kind of like a GB as a gigabyte, which is lower than TB as terabyte, meaning every 1,000, almost 1,000 gigabyte is going to be 1 terabyte. 1,000 gigabyte is going to be 1 terabyte. So typically what we get these days is something between like 256 or 512 gigabyte all the way up to 4 TB, which is like a little bit too high end at the moment or too expensive for the laptop sometimes. But generally speaking, again, you don't want to go lower than 1 TB because you're gonna face with some issues. Even these days, some people say 1 TB is too small, including myself. But just like it's okay if you don't want to take so many pictures and then save and then store them on your computer. That would be okay for a few years, and then it's not going to be kind of a small, very small sort of storage. Then it's going to have enough room for the Windows and then for the operating system and then some softwares, and still it allows you to record and then also store your works. Although that as we go forward, we're going to have like larger and larger file sizes. So my recommendation is at least 1 TB. And then because of the price of that, I wouldn't go with the 4 TB. So 2 TB is the best option at the moment in the market. But there's still so many laptops these days are not available with 2 TB of the SSD and in hard drive. So meaning that if you are getting something with a good deal, with a good pricing, if it's going to be 1 TB, it still is going to be okay. And later on, if you're going to learn how to replace it, you can purchase it SSD with higher capacity, and then you can replace it yourself easily. Second component is RAM, random access memory, meaning that it's the memory that you are keeping the ongoing and then operating softwares and the files on that. So it's really crucial to the speed of the calculation for your computer. So what is the capacity that you should look into that? So if you are looking into some of the specs, so for example, you can see the DDR5 in here, or you can see, for example, also like this, it's called RAM. So this is like the DDR5. This is like the version of the data transfer. It's still the same thing as RAM. So you are going to see a number, something between 8 these days, 8 GB, not terabyte, is 8 GB, all the way to the highest level at the moment is like something around 128. Very rare, but 128. But mostly we have like around 16, 32, and 64. Rule of thumb for the amount of RAM that you need, 8 is too low. Don't think about it. 16, well, you're going to have like some issues. 16 GB of RAM, you're going to have some issues later on. So 32 GB and also 64. The optimized price is on 32 right now. 64 is going to be a little bit, overpriced. RAM in here, like this one is 32 GB of RAM. This is 32 GB RAM, 32. So most of them these days like 16, 32, and then 64, a little bit fewer computer that you can find. But still you can find some really good, decent computer with 64 to 32, 16. This one is 32, and so on and so forth. So you can easily find that the number is not very confusing, and it's easy actually to identify and to recognize what you would like to purchase. And the third component, probably which is the most important component for architectural and design purposes, is graphic cards, or GPU, graphic processing units, or graphic adapters. So every task related to the graphics and then visualization, 3D modeling, simulation, data visualization, video processing, image editing, needs the power of the graphic cards. This is a website. Actually, you can find the ranking for the different graphic cards, and then laptop and then desktop can be separate. So pay attention that the performance of the laptop graphic cards are absolutely different than the desktop graphic cards. So let's take a look at the major graphic cards in here. That you can see that it's NVIDIA, and then also is AMD. And then we have like some Intel Arc graphic adapters also, but mostly, again, they are NVIDIA and then AMD. I'm going to only focus on the NVIDIA RTX 30 series, 40 series, and then 50 series. And then if you would like to get some AMD or other brands, you can have a kind of comparison in different website, including like this website. It's going to give you a kind of comparison between these graphic cards. Then you can make your own decision about what type of graphic card that you would like to go with. So pay attention to one more thing. So not necessarily the higher number has the better performance, because there are different versions of the different graphic cards. So for example, you can see this is 5070, and we have like 4080. So this is having a better sort of performance or better ranking than this one. Generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, the higher number is going to have like a better performance for the same class of the graphic cards that you use or you pick. If you take a look at the numbers and then the series that you're seeing in here, so there are 30 series and then there are 40 series, meaning that it started with 30, like 3080, and then 40 series is like 40, 4070, and then 50 series 50, and then 5070, for example, in this case. So the 30 series is a little bit old. It released a few years ago, and 4070 still is not too old. And then 50 series, the newest series right now from NVIDIA. This is really a huge topic. I would like to give you a very short summary of that. To do so, I'm going to encourage you to go on NVIDIA website and then go to the laptop products. It's going to give you some suggestion about the laptops. So on the laptop page, which you can find it in here on the products, so you can see there are 3 RTX series, 30 series, 40, and then 50. So you can get some sort of ideas about suggestion from NVIDIA based on the graphic cards. So let's jump into different series. So for example, in here you have like 40 series, and then some of the laptops that is being recommended by NVIDIA using NVIDIA GeForce graphic cards from the different brands. This is under the studio laptops, which is not very much of the kind of high performance laptop comparing to the gaming laptop that they are suggesting and recommending to you. Let's go to the 50 series, and then these are like 50 series, and then going all the way down to the laptops that is available for 50 series. So 50 series is like 5060, 5070, 5070 Ti, is really powerful, and then 5080 and then 5090. So let's just start with like something around like 5070, and then I'm going to give you kind of, just like idea what would be the best price at the moment. So here is the laptop that they are using 5070. As you can see, most of them, they're over $2,000. So the optimized price right now is on 4060 and then 4070. 4060 probably is a little bit, just like too old, but 4070 is going to last longer for you. All right, now it's CPU turn. And the CPU stands for central processing unit or computing processing unit. It was the brain of the computer. The faster, the better. So if you would like to take a look at the different sort of processors for laptops, always search for mobile processors. So meaning that they are for laptop, not for desktop. So mostly there are three companies that you can see, that the Intel Core, and then also AMD Ryzen, and then sometimes you can see Apple. So we will talk about the Intel Core, and then you can find the equivalent to Intel 4 based on the chart of the performance of these CPUs, and then whatever you would like to pick, it's going to be your decision. I'm not going to get to the too much of the detail of the technicality of this, like the L2 cache and then L3 cache and then thread and then cores and then speed of the first core, and then second and the third one, how is going to go lower, and the first one is faster, and then what type of softwares they're using as a single core or multi-core, and then renderings is going to be different, and then drafting and then modeling softwares, usage of the cores are going to be different. So those are really too much of the complications for you at this moment, but I'm not going to get to that point. But I'm going to give you a kind of rule of thumb. What I would like to suggest to you is i7 or i9, anything higher than 13 generations, so 13 and then 14 generation, i7 and i9. So Intel Core i7, this is 1.2, which is 12, this is the 12th generation. I'm not going to recommend the 12th generation. So i9, and this is the 13th generation. 13th generation, this is going to be good. So i9, 13th generation, i7, 13th generation, 13700. And you can find the one that you want, and then you can, just like compare it to the other also brands, and then all other processor manufacturing and companies, and then see how the benchmarks and the speed works, and then pick your own. But I would like to pick Intel Core because of some reason, and the compatibility with softwares. It's going to be safer for my purpose, and then based on my experience. Beside these two, I would like also to tell you that the Ultra 7 and an Ultra 9, which are really newer processor designed, they are these two versions using less energy significantly. I love those. I have been using Ultra 9 for like 8-9 months right now, and I'm really happy with it. So the first generation, the first series, and the second series is more powerful than the first series, and then Ultra 9 is more powerful than Ultra 7. I highly recommend Ultra 9 second series. There are so many laptops these days, they're getting equipped with Ultra 9 second series. So first series is started with like 1, and then after that is a number like 185, for example, and 188 for Ultra 7 and Ultra 9, and then Ultra 9, the second series, they have like 2 at the beginning, and then like 285, and then there are some letters at the end. They have like different sort of just like details for the design of the processor. We're not going to get to that detail. So let's get back to our list in here, and then take a look at the processors that we're seeing in here. So for example, in here, this is i9 and then 14th generation. Would be a good one. This is like really consuming your battery, but it's a really good processor. It's super fast. It's and the performance is really good. So all in all, so I'm not talking about the brand at all. I'm talking about the spec. I'm talking about the spec. I'm not talking about the brand. So because I don't know the brand, and this is i9 1400, 14th generation, and the RTX 4070. 32 gigabyte of RAM, and then it's 1 terabyte of the SSD. So it's not a deal breaker in here, but it's all in all is a good, and then it's a good price, is 1700 plus tax. It's a little bit expensive, not, I mean, like comparing to the other other laptops, but I mean, like in total, probably it's going to be a little bit expensive, but it's a good price actually, and then good value for the money that you're spending in here. So this is i7, sorry, this is Ryzen. It says that it beats i7's 12th generation. So 64 gigabyte of RAM, 4 terabyte of hard, and 4060. I would go with a little bit higher than 4060, as I explained before. Probably 4070, which lasts longer for a few more years. So this is like probably 4050 is a little bit too low actually for the time being. And let's jump into the first page again one more time, starting from the beginning. So this is really high-end laptop. This is a really high-end laptop. So I mean, as for the spec, I don't know about the brand. I'm not talking about the brand. So this is i9 14th generation CPU, RTX 5080. 5080. So it's 30 series, 40 series, and then 50 series. 50 series, 5080, 5090, they are really top notch. 32 gigabyte of RAM, and then 1 terabyte of hard drive. This is a really good spec. A little bit overpriced, but 2500. But because the major price of that, because of this RTX 5080, this is really expensive graphic card at this moment. So let's see something around probably like 1450. This is the gaming laptop. It's a 4060 and an i7 13th generation, and then 32 gigabyte of RAM, and then 1 terabyte of hard. I guess that is the number. It's a decent number in here that we see. And then this one is i7 13th generation. This is a good processor, and then also it has like the RTX 4070, 32 gigabyte of RAM, 1 terabyte of hard. So the last item that you should look into from my point of view is your monitor. And that monitor is really important, and that is the both the resolution, and then more important than the resolution is the refresh and then refreshing rate. So this refreshing rate is going to help the health and then the fatigueness of your eyes. So the higher this number, yes, more consumption of the energy, but it's going to save more of your eyes and then less fatigued eyes. So 240 is really good. Anything higher than 144 is really good. Anything higher than 144 hertz is going to be really good. So these days you can see 144, 165, 240, 300. Those are the numbers. Don't go with the like 300, or don't ask for 300 or 240. So anything around 144 or 165 is good. Don't settle for like 60 or 75. Those are too low for these days actually. So then like this one is 240 display and an i7 14th generation RTX 4060. Well, I would like to go with like at least 4070 or something like that. So probably would be a better choice. So, and then last one that I'm looking at this, so is 240. This is the resolution of the monitor. So meaning that we have like FHD is lower than QHD and in 4K. You don't want to have the 4K because 4K has like the lower refreshing rate, and then still we don't have like a kind of high refresh rate in the 4K resolution doesn't matter, so your eyes cannot recognize between QHD and then 4K. Almost is impossible. So this is the Core Ultra 9. This is the first series, 185. It's a really good processor, 32 gigabyte of RAM, and then 1 terabyte. And then the graphic card is GeForce RTX 4080. This is overpriced. This is like 2,800. It's a little bit overpriced actually. So you can find better deal probably with the other options in the market. One last thing, if you're looking for something like the screen touch monitor, I do not recommend the screen touch monitor, because when you're adding it to the wish list, then you have like a very expensive component that you're asking for, which is not that necessary actually to what we are doing. Instead of doing it and then adding like 1,200, 1,300 to the bills, and then you're getting the kind of upgrade for the monitor and then the other thing, so you can get a tablet close to this, and then that would be nice. That tablet probably is going to be the same number, around starting around like 800, 900. I mean, like the tablet computer, 800, 900 to 12, 13, 1400 would be a good tablet computer. You can use it as a screen touch, and then you can use a pen on that. But upgrading to something really high end that it's going to add like $2,000 to your bill probably is not going to be the smartest choice in here. So for example, in here, that what we are getting in here, so we have a laptop of the 4070 NVIDIA GeForce RTX, and then also 64 gigabyte of RAM, 2 terabyte of hard, i7 14th generation. That is a really good choice as for the spec. Again, I'm not talking about the brand. I'm talking about the spec and the number. Number is 1900 plus tax. It's a really good choice. It has all the pieces that you want, and it lasts for at least like 5 to 6 years. We cannot recommend you generally to purchase a warranty or any type of services after the purchase or not. The other topic is about the battery life. Battery life directly depends on the type of processor, type of monitor, and then also type of graphic adapters, how powerful they are. Meaning that if you're expecting a higher and a better performance from your laptop, so it's a trade-off. The more of the usage of the battery when you have a more powerful laptop, although that the newer generation of the processors these days are using less power. If you're looking for something with like 10 hour of the battery life for the gaming laptop, this is impossible. The best case scenario is going to be something for few hours, at most for 4 or 5 hours. If it's going to be under a series of the softwares, and then you're using, and then you're opening series of the softwares and then using it for the design and the rendering purposes, sometimes it lasts only few minutes, even less than 45 minutes, and then you need to recharge it again. And yes, that summarizes all the important points that you need to consider when you plan to purchase a laptop. If you have any question, feel free to share those questions with me down below the video. And also, I would like to ask you to share your experience about your own laptops with me. Yep, that's it. Thanks for watching.